Okay, so first we will need a few background materials. Why I call them background materials is because that you can pass through them or no clip through them. But without ignore damage, you can't. Here's how background materials must look like when you pass through them in verification. Except that they should be behind you. Now we choose a background material. I wonder which one could use a good background material. Sample. Let's just make a value chart. Darkest. And then let's make it symmetrical. Okie dokie. Now we select the whole background itself. I recommend using swipe mode. Now tap edit group. I prefer getting it into the next free group just so that the editor and the level doesn't get confused. But if you've already saved up a group ID for the background, then good job. You can add that background to the group. Now, what you want to do is play test, and then you must pause when the camera starts moving. Like that. Now, we add a move trigger where in the middle of the player. Now we stop the play test. Click edit object. Now you must set the move time to 10 for it to be super easy. And I recommend not changing the easing. Now add a move X value. So basically, if you want to know what an X value is, it's how far an object moves horizontally. This can also be done with pixels. So 10 X values will equal 1 grid step. Change it to something like, I don't know, 400. Now link the background to the move trigger. Now, for this to work perfectly, you must set the X value to something minimum 100. If set to minimum, here's how it'll look like. It'll be quite slow. If you want this to be like in Dear Nostalgists, where the blocks have a smaller version which are passable, and then they move slowly towards the player, set it minimum 10. For a perfect background, set it minimum 200. Now, to make sure your background looks really realistic, select a small move X value for the one that you want to look like it's the closest to the player. If you want something to be behind that other background material, well then, select that group and choose a bigger value, 700. Like this. Now, For really realistic experiences, you might want to experiment a little. You might want to make sure that each distance looks quite realistic. Like if I move the camera in real life like 1 meter, all the objects that are at the exact same position as the camera will move 1 meter. But the further away an object is, the slower it moves to the camera's perspective. The furthest objects, that's why I think the furthest objects must be set to a smaller value than the closer objects. Let's extend the level a bit so that we know how our background will look like. Now, if you want it to actually look proper, then it's simple. Select the whole background, click Edit Group, click Don't Fade. Now click OK. You see, now the objects will not fade away as soon as they're in the screen's border. Make sure that if you've created a background, create some gameplay too to engage the player. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Goodbye!